Stop fighting back. Stop defending yourself. Stop arguing. And stop trying to prove them wrong. Every single time you react to a toxic, disrespectful person, you are handing them exactly what they want: total control over your mind. There is a devastatingly simple action you only need to take once to break this cycle forever. It requires no arguments, no clever comebacks, and no raised voices. Ancient Stoic philosophers discovered thousands of years ago that the ultimate way to disarm a manipulator isn't by overpowering them, it is by starving them. Today, you will learn the exact psychological shift required to build an impenetrable fortress in your mind. You will discover how to completely reverse the power dynamic, force toxic people to exhaust their own poison, and permanently strip them of their ability to disrespect you ever again. Chapter 1. The nature of toxicity and the illusion of control. We all face individuals who seem determined to disrupt our peace, overstep our boundaries, and pull us into their emotional chaos. You know the type of person. They thrive on drama. They deal in passive-aggressive remarks, and they find their strength in making others feel small. When you encounter someone like this, the immediate human instinct is to fight back. You want to argue. You want to defend your character, and you want to prove them wrong. You believe that if you just explain yourself clearly enough, or if you strike back hard enough, you will earn their respect and the behavior will stop. But the ancient Stoic philosophers teach us that this instinct is entirely wrong. Fighting back is exactly what the toxic person wants you to do. The Stoic philosophy, developed in ancient Greece and Rome, is built on a very simple but profound foundation called the dichotomy of control. This principle states that there are things in life you can control and things you cannot control. You have absolute control over your own thoughts, your own choices, and your own reactions. You have absolutely zero control over the opinions, words, and actions of other people. When a toxic person disrespects you, they are operating entirely outside of your control. However, when you become angry, upset, or defensive, you are voluntarily taking your own power and handing it directly to them. You are allowing an external event to dictate your internal state. To solve this problem forever, you must realize that disrespect from a toxic person is an illusion of power. They cannot actually harm your character or your worth. They can only make noises with their mouths or type words on a screen. The damage you feel is not caused by their words, but by your agreement with their words. If you do not agree with the insult has nowhere to land. It simply vanishes into the air. Understanding this fundamental truth is the first step toward becoming completely immune to manipulation and disrespect. You must accept that you cannot fix the toxic person, but you can entirely change the way their toxicity interacts with your life. Chapter 2. The ultimate action to command instant respect. There is one single action you must take to ensure that a toxic person never disrespects you again. You only need to do this once, and it will change the entire dynamic of your relationship with them. The action is the complete and absolute withdrawal of your emotional participation. You must become completely unresponsive to their provocations. When they throw an insult, a passive-aggressive comment, or a direct display of disrespect, they are throwing bait into the water. They are waiting for you to bite. The moment you argue, justify yourself, or show anger, you have taken the bait and they have caught you. The most powerful thing you can do is to look at them with complete emotional indifference. You do not scowl, you do not smile, and you do not look away submissively. You hold their gaze with a calm, unbored, and completely empty expression. You offer silence. If you must speak, you use short, emotionless, and factual sentences. You say nothing that reveals your internal state. You do not ask them why they are acting this way, because asking questions shows that you care about their motives. You simply let their toxic behavior hang in the air, unanswered and unvalidated. This concept is often referred to in modern psychology as becoming a gray rock. A gray rock is uninteresting, unresponsive, and offers nothing of value to someone looking for drama. The Stoics understood this concept perfectly thousands of years ago. By removing your emotional reaction, you starve the toxic person of the very oxygen they need to survive. Toxic people do not want to be ignored. They want to be feared, they want to be argued with, or they want to be appeased. When you give them absolute, quiet indifference, you strip them of all their power. You show them that their attempts to manipulate you are entirely ineffective. Chapter 3. Building the Inner Citadel. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about a concept that translates to the inner citadel. He ruled over the most powerful empire in the world, yet he understood that true power was not found in commanding armies, but in commanding one's own mind. Marcus Aurelius believed that every person has a fortress inside their mind. This fortress is impenetrable. No army, no enemy, and no toxic person can break down the walls of your inner citadel. The only way someone can get inside and cause chaos is if you willingly unlock the gates and invite them in. When a toxic person acts poorly toward you, they are standing outside the walls of your fortress, throwing small stones at the heavy iron gates. The stones cannot hurt the fortress. The only way you get hurt is if you become agitated by the noise. Open the gates, walk outside, and let them hit you. By reacting emotionally to disrespect, you are abandoning your safe stronghold to fight in the mud with someone who has nothing to lose. The Stoic approach is to remain seated quietly inside your citadel. Let them throw their stones. Let them exhaust themselves. You build this inner citadel through the daily practice of self-awareness. You must learn to separate the event from your judgment of the event. The event is simply someone speaking words. The judgment is you telling yourself that you have been harmed or insulted. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly to strip away his judgments and look at things exactly as they are. When you look at a toxic person without judgment, you do not see a powerful enemy. You see a deeply flawed, insecure, and unhappy human being who is lashing out because they lack self-control. There is no reason to abandon your fortress for someone like that. Chapter 4. Analyzing the Psychology of the Provocateur. To permanently defeat a toxic strategy, you must understand the mind of the person deploying it. In Stoic philosophy, it is taught that no one does wrong willingly. People act poorly because they are confused about what is truly good and what is truly bad. A toxic person operates under the false belief that tearing others down will elevate their own status or provide them with a sense of security. Their disrespect is rarely about you. It is almost always a projection of their own internal chaos, their own self-hatred, and their own deep-seated insecurities. When a toxic person disrespects you, they are using you as a mirror. They want you to reflect back the ugly emotions they feel inside themselves. If they feel angry and inadequate, they want to make you feel angry and inadequate. This shared misery makes them feel less alone in their suffering. If you give them the reaction they want, you validate their worldview. You prove to them that the world is a hostile place and that their toxic behavior is justified. You become an active participant in their psychological sickness. However, when you apply the Stoic response of calm indifference, you refuse to be their mirror. Instead of reflecting their anger back at them, you become a deep, still pool of water. When they throw their toxic words into the water simply swallows the words and returns to stillness. This is deeply unsettling for a toxic person. They are forced to sit alone with their own poison. They realize that their behavior has no impact on you, which forces them to confront their own powerlessness. This is why toxic people eventually abandon their efforts and move on to easier targets. They cannot tolerate someone who will not play their game. Chapter 5. The Wisdom of Epictetus on Insults. Epictetus was a prominent Stoic philosopher, but unlike Marcus Aurelius, he was not an emperor. Epictetus was born a slave. He spent much of his life in a society where he had absolutely no legal rights, no physical freedom, and was subject to the whims of a cruel master. Yet, Epictetus developed one of the most powerful philosophies of personal freedom in human history. He understood that while his masters could control his physical body, they could never control his mind unless he gave them permission. Epictetus addressed the concept of insults directly in his teachings. He taught his students that if someone succeeds in provoking you, you must realize that your own mind is complicit in the provocation. He famously stated that you are not harmed when someone insults you or hits you. You are harmed only when you believe you are being harmed. If a madman on the street yells a nonsensical insult at you, you do not become angry. You simply recognize that the man is unwell, and you keep walking. Epictetus argued that we should treat all toxic people with the same detachment. If someone insults you and the insult is true, then there is no reason to be angry because they are simply stating a fact. If you are lacking in a certain area and someone points it out, you should thank them for identifying an area where you can improve. On the other hand, if someone insults you and the insult is entirely false, there is still no reason to be angry. They are the ones who are mistaken. They are living in ignorance and speaking untruths. Let them be wrong. You do not need to correct every confused person in the world. When you adopt this mindset, insults lose their sharp edges and become completely harmless. Chapter 6. Seneca and the Triviality of Injury. Seneca was a Roman statesman, a wealthy playwright, and a brilliant Stoic philosopher. He spent years navigating the incredibly dangerous and toxic political environment of the Roman Empire, eventually serving as an advisor to the unpredictable and cruel Emperor Nero. Seneca understood exactly what it meant to deal with dangerous, manipulative, and disrespectful people on a daily basis. He wrote extensively about the concept of injury and how a wise person should respond to it. Seneca argued that a truly great and noble mind is completely immune to the slights and disrespect of lesser people. He compared the Stoic mind to the heavens. The clouds may gather, the lightning may flash, and the storms may rage in the lower atmosphere, but the stars and the heavens remain forever untouched and serene above the chaos. When you allow a toxic person to upset you, you are bringing yourself down to their level. You are admitting that their opinion of you carries weight and importance. You are essentially saying that you value their judgment more than you value your own peace of mind. To Seneca, taking offense is a sign of a weak ego. A strong person does not need the constant validation of others to know their own worth. When a toxic person attempts to disrespect you, you should view it as a trivial annoyance, much like a barking dog or a buzzing insect. You do not argue with a barking dog, nor do you feel insulted by it. You recognize that barking is simply the nature of the dog. In the same way, being disrespectful is simply the nature of a toxic person. You observe it, you accept that it is happening, and you completely refuse to let it disturb your internal serenity. Chapter 7. The Preparation of Marcus Aurelius. The Stoics did not believe in toxic positivity or pretending that bad things would never happen. They were deeply practical and realistic about human nature. Marcus Aurelius practiced a specific mental exercise every single morning to prepare himself for the toxic people he knew he would inevitably encounter. In his private journal, which we now call Meditations, he wrote down a reminder to himself. He told himself that upon waking, he should immediately expect to meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He reminded himself that these people act this way because they cannot tell the difference between good and evil. By anticipating their behavior in advance, Marcus Aurelius removed the element of surprise. When you are surprised by disrespect, your emotional defenses are lowered, and you are much more likely to react impulsively. But when you expect someone to act poorly, their bad behavior simply confirms your expectations. You are ready for it. You have already decided in the calm of the morning exactly how you will respond in the heat of the moment. You can apply this same preparation to your own life. If you know you are going to interact with a toxic coworker, a difficult family member, or a manipulative acquaintance, do not go into the interaction hoping they have magically changed. Expect them to be exactly who they have always been. Prepare your mind. Decide beforehand that no matter what they say and no matter what they do, you will not give them a reaction. You will protect your peace. When they inevitably try to provoke you, you will simply smile internally, knowing that your preparation was correct, and their toxicity will slide right off your armor. Chapter 8. Navigating the Shift in Power. When you first apply this Stoic principle of total non-reaction, you will notice a fascinating and immediate shift in the power dynamic between you and the toxic individual. Because toxic people are entirely reliant on your emotional reactions to feel powerful, withdrawing your reaction will initially cause them to panic. They are used to pressing a specific button and getting a specific result. When they press the button and nothing happens, they will not give up immediately. Instead, they will usually escalate their behavior. This is known in psychology as an extinction burst. The toxic person will try harder to provoke you. They might become louder. Their insults might become more personal, or they might try to enlist other people to turn against you. This is the most critical moment in the entire process. You must hold your ground. You must remember the Stoic teachings and keep the gates of your inner citadel firmly locked. If you give in during the extinction burst, you teach the toxic person that they just need to try a little harder to break you. But if you maintain your calm indifference, something incredible happens. They will exhaust themselves. They will realize that their tools of manipulation are completely broken and useless against you. Because they desperately need a reaction to function, they will be forced to retreat and find a different, easier target. In this moment, the power completely shifts. You have not won by fighting, arguing, or dominating them. You have won by completely refusing to participate in the battle. You have established a boundary of silence, an unbothered composure that they cannot penetrate. You have proven that you are the sole master of your own mind. Chapter 9. The Theater of Life and Playing Your Role. The ancient philosophers frequently compared the experience of human life to a grand stage play or a complex theater production. In the books recording his teachings, Epictetus explained that the universe, or fate, assigns each of us a specific role in this grand production. We do not get to choose the circumstances we are born into, the events that happen to us, or the other actors who are placed on the stage alongside us. The only thing we have control over is how well we play our assigned role. In this theater of life, toxic people are simply playing the role of the antagonist. They are the obstacles placed on the stage to test your character, your patience, and your dedication to virtue. You cannot write them out of the script. You cannot force them to play a different character. Your only responsibility is to play your own role with dignity, honor, and rationality. When the antagonist delivers a disrespectful line, you do not throw a tantrum and storm off the stage. You respond with the grace and composure befitting someone who understands the nature of the play. By viewing your interactions through this detached philosophical lens, you remove the personal sting of disrespect. The toxic person is not really attacking your soul. They are merely performing their sad, chaotic role in the grand scheme of things. Your job is to perform the role of the Stoic. The Stoic is unshakable, deeply rooted in their own values and entirely indifferent to the noise of the surrounding characters. You let the toxic people play their exhausting games, while you focus all your energy on perfecting your own character and living a life of quiet excellence. Chapter 10. The Final Realization of Unshakable Freedom. When you fully internalize these Stoic principles, you will reach a state of absolute psychological freedom. You will no longer wake up anxious about what a toxic person might say to you. You will no longer lie awake at night replaying arguments in your head and thinking of the perfect comeback. You will realize that you never actually needed their respect in the first place. Seeking respect from people who are deeply flawed, manipulative, and miserable is a foolish endeavor. Their respect is worthless because their judgment is broken. True respect cannot be demanded from others. It must be cultivated within yourself. When you practice Stoicism, you build self-respect by knowing that you are entirely in control of your own reactions. You respect yourself because you do not allow your emotions to be hijacked by external circumstances. You respect yourself because you respond to chaos with order, and you respond to toxicity with silent strength. This self-respect forms an invisible shield around you that toxic people can sense immediately. Do this once. Make the firm, irrevocable decision to stop outsourcing your emotional stability to the people around you. Withdraw your participation from their toxic games. Lock the gates of your inner citadel and find comfort in your own unbothered silence. When you do this, you will notice that toxic people will naturally begin to avoid you. They will move away from your calm strength because they cannot manipulate what they cannot disturb. You will be left with a deep, enduring peace and the absolute certainty that no matter what the world throws at you, you will always remain the master of your own mind. Toxicity only has the power you give it. Silence is not weakness. It is the ultimate demonstration of strength. From this moment on, you are no longer a target. You are a fortress. If you found value in these Stoic truths, hit the like button right now to signal that you are taking control of your life. Share this video immediately with one person you know who is currently struggling to protect their peace from a manipulator. Subscribe to the channel to continue building your inner citadel and ensure you never miss a guide on personal mastery. Comment the word unyielding below to let me know you are fully committed to this path. Recommend this channel to a friend who needs to hear these hard truths. Your journey to an unshakable mind has only just begun.